Hello, everyone. My name is Zawadi. I am 20 years old, and I am a fellow this year with the Washington Bus. We're doing virtual fellowship this year, so it's kind of cool. And then here we have my brother Kamau. He can introduce himself.
My name is Kamau, bus fellowship class of 2014, and excited to talk.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, like I said before, we're doing a virtual fellowship this year. So it's like all via Zoom. You had it in person, obviously. There was not a global pandemic. But yeah, it's been super cool, like learning and navigating through that kind of space. So I'm excited. Okay, let's get to the questions that we have. So, what drew you to the fellowship?
You know, if I'm being honest, I really needed an internship, and I knew the fellowship was happening, and I found it on a website, and then it came recommended, and it was a time that I was thinking about how to get more politically involved, now to get the skills to get more politically involved, and also how to get the network of people that you need to mentor you and to be more involved in campaigns. And I totally got that, and so it was great.
That's cool. Okay. And how did participating in the fellowship impact your life?
So I think the most important thing that the fellowship did for me is, kind of like an old school term for it would be called cadre formation, but essentially you got a group of people that had a shared worldview about social justice and economic justice and how to do democracy, um, and how to participate and get involved, especially as young people. And so, what my favorite thing that I got out of the internship, the fellowship, was this group of people that I could call on. And a lot of us ended up organizing afterwards. So I remember like Karen Fierro and I ended up getting involved with Washington Dream Coalition. So did Luis, who was part of the fellowship at the time. And then several of us, after we did our fellowship campaign for gun responsibility, stayed involved in that and some future campaigns. And so it kind of got you jump started with a pre-organized network of people you could tap for opportunities, but also to organize for campaigns after the bus.
Yeah, and I think that's like super cool because even the like personal relationships that you made with people during the bus helps other people like me because you just mentioned Karen Fierro and she's one of the co-founders of an organization that I am a member of right now called Washington Sin Fronteras or Washington Without Borders. So I think it's like super cool in that aspect of how it trickles down and stuff. So that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that. So what is your favorite memory from the fellowship?
Oh, that's definitely easy.
Oh,
You know what? I'm gonna do two. One is both have really good lessons. One was the first day of the fellowship. Emilio Garza was at the time, I think, like doing field for the Washington bus, was teaching us how to do a rap, which is usually WRAP, like on like a wrap up about what the organization is or what the campaign
mhm.
is, a succinct way of communicating like what is it you're doing and why is it important? Why should people get involved? And back in 2014, the cool thing was like to do a little play on words where it'd also be like a rap, like
Oh my
RAP, as
gosh.
in the popular musical genre of young people.
Mhm.
And we literally had to write a like rap verse about the Washington bus and perform it, and so to this day, Karen Fiona and I still like joke about the verse we wrote for her, which was like a remix to a 2 Chainz song that I will not perform on this video. Absolutely not.
Please.
Nope. Well, and then the second memory is, the important lesson from that was like, it did really help. Like after that, it was very easy to tell people what the Washington bus was and what it did and why people should register to vote. The second was the first voter registration we did, which is we went to Cal Anderson Park and tried to register young people to vote, and it was very good to come in contact with how like messy and contradictory doing real politics is, and also like that was I think the first place I ever registered anyone to vote, and I think about that a lot now when I'm passing by Cal Anderson, and I've learned much more like who was Cal Anderson. Some people, don't know about like the legacy of one of Washington's most storied queer state senators, but also now that it's like the center, you know, stage of CHOP and the protests that are ongoing there, and is like a vital and beautiful place where a lot of movements and democracy and the things that the Washington bus is all about are taking place in real time. And so those are my favorite memories from the bus.
Wow. You're not going to give us the verse, not even a
No,
glimpse?
absolutely not. No, no bars from me. Nothing.
Wow. Lame, lame, lame. Okay. And what was the most challenging part for you?
um, I think the most challenging part was always navigating the gap between a very idealized view of like what organizing is like, and the reality of it being like sitting down and phone banking a list where the
Mm-hmm.
conversations are not exciting and stimulating, and you're not like changing people's minds, but you're just doing like sometimes politics is just like trench warfare. You go through a certain set of conversations and you move the ball forward on your issue, and that the things that people are willing to hear when you're phone banking are not necessarily the things that you would want to be talking about, and the uh, tension between like the politics that we want and the politics that we are a part of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, and what is one thing that you wish you would have known about the fellowship before you started?
Ooh, that's a good question. One thing I wish I had known. Um, um, I wish I had known just how accessible the speakers were. So one of the great things about the Washington bus is there's a period of time where you're just getting speakers coming in every day who are kind of experts in their issue, and they seem um, like really important people with big titles. And they always offer, they're like, hey, here's my email, here's my phone number, here's my card. But I only followed up with like a handful of people, and I wish I had known that they are actually very accessible people who like read their emails and do check their phone calls, and like all will meet with you for a coffee. And I wish I'd made the most of that at the time.
Mm.
And definitely something I'd encourage people to do now, especially when it's virtual. And a lot of people have, a Zoom meeting isn't too hard.
Yes. And our last question is, what advice would you give to fellows or to me for this year?
I think the advice I would give is to be taking in like all the great tactical and strategic information that you're getting from the speakers, and a lot of it is going to be grounded in like what's happening right now and what could you do this election cycle, but to not lose sight of the fact that as millennials, and I think like also Gen Z, we are in a very specific period of time, um, and to not lose sight of that, to like be able to zoom out and see we are clearly living through like the failed ruins of 40 years of
Mm-hmm.
Reagan era kind of neoliberalism is falling apart. And we are, it's unclear what the next era will be. And it's very rare to be coming into political maturity during the transition of political eras, during like an interregnum. Um, and it's going to be on us to be shaping what the next era is. And here I'm talking about, hegemonic ideas of what is common sense, what just
Mm-hmm.
makes sense to do. For a long time, it made sense to have private health insurance and to have law and order and all the rest. And those ideas are falling apart. They're no longer common sense to a lot of people. And a lot of people are
Yeah.
rethinking what makes common sense. And it's going to be on us and the campaigns that we run and the things that we push and the kind of rhetoric we use and the organizations that we create to realign the American public around what is going to be common sense for a multiracial democracy, something that the country hasn't ever actually had in reality, and what is going to be
Mm-hmm.
common sense for shared prosperity and economic justice when we're seeing, things like two people in Washington state um, having more wealth than the bottom half of the country. So those are important questions to not lose sight of, even as you're thinking about like how to register the next voter and how to, win this election cycle and how to make a rap, WRAP.
Yes, thank you so much. Amen to that. Thank you so much for being on here, taking time out of your busy day to Zoom call with me. You never Zoom call with me. This is our first time actually being on Zoom together. So that's nice. Thank you so much again. And also for people watching, we are 5 years apart. I'm 24, 5. How old are you? I'm 20. You are
25. I'm 25 years old. My birthday was in
wow.
March.
Wow. Okay, getting old. Okay. Well, yeah, thank you so much for being on here. I will
Thank you for
see.
having me on this Zoom call from our
Yes.
mother's room.
Yes, I am in our mother's room. Yep. That is.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Thanks for exposing me and thank you so much. I will talk to you. I will talk to you. I'll text you tonight probably.
I may reply.
Oh, okay, great.
All
Awesome.
right.
Thank you.
Congrats, bus fellowship class of 2020. What a time. What a time.
Yay.
All right. Bye bye, everyone.